Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, as always, joined by the most valuable Pete. Hey, Pete, what's up?
Not much. You tell me. What's going on with you?
I guess we should say we are now officially in the summer blockbuster season. It's going to go rapid fire now. We both just saw F1. More on that in a minute. And coming down the pipe very quickly, it's like every week for the next 3 weeks, there's going to be a big blockbuster, which is Jurassic Park, Fantastic Four, Superman. More or less for 4 straight weeks, there's a major blockbuster release every week for those 4 weeks. In terms of you and I, that will go a great way towards determining how we did on our summer blockbuster predictions, right? The predictees. Hollywood blockbuster season kicked off with F1. I saw it on true international opening night. So heading into the weekend, you and I are way ahead of the curve, actually. So I think there's a few reasons why this has been, at least initially, for the first couple opening days until the reviews are really out, why it's been so hot. And I think it's a few things. Apart from Mission Impossible, what's playing at the cinemas is pretty dreary right now.
And very children's focused.
Yeah, unless you've got kids and you're really interested in the animated stuff like Elio and Lilo and Stitch and stuff. Mm-hmm. 2, it is the heart of summer now, almost everywhere, which means that if there's a time when it's hot, humid, people want to escape the heat, aren't really looking to go outdoors, trying to do something in air conditioning, I mean, cinema is exactly where they want to be.
Right.
And I think that Brad Pitt Formula One is a very sexy combo. And obviously Apple and I guess it's Universal or whoever has been pushing this extraordinarily hard.
I think it's also because F1, the organization, whatever they're called, FIA or whatever they are, they've been heavily promoting it as well. I think because, Lewis Hamilton is a producer, he's featured in the film, and some big names are featured in the film. So I think they've made that effort.
I know that initially both of us were kind of like, I wouldn't say we were meh. Okay, we're definitely going to see that as soon as it comes out. But we weren't like Xing off the days on our calendar.
No way.
But then kind of like when it was happening in the last 24, 48 hours, we both got pretty pumped up about it.
Yeah, I think I got caught up in the fever pitch.
Yeah.
One thing that everyone does agree on, and that I will agree with, is the filmmaking pretty spectacular.
Well, I think we're now into, we've gotten past the foreplay and the setup and we're into evaluation. What's your knee-jerk reaction if someone put a microphone in front of your face just walking out of that cinema?
Most predictable story I've ever seen on the planet. And on top of that, some of the best filmmaking I've seen. Some of the best visual effects of race car driving.
Actually, I echo that almost exactly. I waffled in this movie, even as I was watching it. I have to say, there was a time during the movie when I was kind of almost like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. This is Maverick-esque. This is going to be a timeless classic. The camera work, the visuals, the sound, the soundtrack. I was at some point ready to go all in on it.
Yeah.
Then I think the story took over, and I will go not just predictable, but absolutely in ways nonsensical.
Oh, yeah.
And from a character development perspective, close to a fail.
Oh, 100%.
The women characters should fire their agents. There's not any male character that I think you can really say, are they the good guy, the bad guy? Everyone was so up and down, inconsistent. One of the things that made Top Gun so beloved was that like them or dislike them. The characters were clear.
Yeah.
And you knew who they were. You could absolutely explain to someone in 5 seconds or less who is this character. And they were consistent with that description throughout the movies. In this, I feel everyone is just bouncing all over the place. And as soon as I kind of thought I understood who someone was, then it was like the next scene, then they're a totally different person.
They flipped the script. And you're absolutely right. I think that every single person. All right, let's take a step back. So,
yeah,
for our listeners, obviously, spoiler alert.
Yep.
Premise of the story, super simple. Brad Pitt plays basically a gun for hire as a driver. He's got a history. He used to be involved in Formula One racing. He's exceptionally good, but he's getting up there in the years at this point. His friend Javier Bardem owns a Formula One team. They used to race together. He needs a hired gun. He's got a brash rookie. They've not won a race in the entire season. If they don't win a race by the end of the season, he's going to be forced to sell his team. So he goes to Brad Pitt and says, I need you to come in. I want you to mentor this guy. I want you to help us win.
I'm already bristling when I hear this out loud. If you and I were in the writer's room, we'd say, hold on. Guys,
we've seen this all before.
Guys, not even have we seen this before. This doesn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. The B plot is that there's a female technical director of the racing team. She's the first female director, and she wants to prove herself by winning an F1 race. And so she's got a chip on her shoulder. She's got a long list of people that she wants to prove. I don't mess around with people on the team because I'm a professional. And then, of course, she immediately goes to bed with Brad Pitt.
After he made almost no effort whatsoever, by the way.
Well, by the way, if you look like Brad Pitt, you don't have to make any effort.
I mean, still, he made no effort at all, by the way. It wasn't...
The young driver gets involved in a heavy accident. He thinks Brad Pitt is trying to take over his spot, which is also ridiculous. Comes back, takes Brad Pitt out. They tussle. They decide finally in the last race, this is the one to do it all in. They become best friends. And somehow, la-di-da, they win the final race and everyone walks off into the sunset. The end.
It is, by all accounts, an awful plot. It is an awful plot. It has the basic elements to be a very typical Hollywood story. A down and out guy, usually he's a drunk, or usually he's lost his kids in a divorce or something and he's desperate for money.
Yeah.
In this case, not really. Then there's, obviously they start very badly. There's redemption. Then something bad happens. Then there's an ultimate redemption. Everyone is hugging and beautiful music plays in the background. This is a good formula. And it's kind of what this movie has followed. And I'm okay with that, actually. My issues are how they got there are so bonkers that there was a much easier way to follow even that Top Gun-esque storyline in a much more rational way. And I'll start from the beginning, if you don't mind.
Please.
I don't get Brad Pitt's character. I like the fact that he's not a recovering drunk, that he's not Gerard Butler, hasn't shaved in a year, got somehow missing his kids because he's fighting with his ex-wife. I have to say, I'm really happy that they left all that out. I like the idea that I wish they would have portrayed him as a guy who is very Maverick-esque. I just love driving different vehicles. I don't want to be a part of a team. I don't want a teammate. I don't want any obligations. I don't want to worry about the setup of a car. I don't want to deal with sponsors. I just want to go, and I just like driving different vehicles as fast as their limits. Throughout the movie, he's actually a very mature, likable, aw shucks kind of cross between a cowboy and a surfer dude.
Yeah, they kind of call him like an American cowboy, but he's just kind of doing his own thing. He's not going out of his way to piss anyone off. He's just like, this is who I am. Yeah. And this is what you're going to get when you hire me, by the way.
Yeah. He's the guy he played in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, basically.
100%.
and that's likable. And I wish they would have just had him as that. Like he used to be the next big thing in F1. And then they kind of got weird about some things. Like obviously he was in a catastrophic accident. And it never was really, they didn't really make the mental leap in terms of like, then what happened, apart from a lot of insinuation that he just started getting a gambling addiction and alcohol and blah, 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 and had all these surgeries and stuff. I would have liked and then they also made some allusions to his father who died. They kept showing the photo of the father.
Yeah.
I just thought it wasn't really clear, but I would have liked the idea that he's like, he just wanted to race for the sake of racing. He played out his career in F1. He was never the same after the race, and he just didn't want to pursue anything else. And I thought it would have been better if Javier Bardem was either his teammate at the time and it would have made more sense that his teammate kind of ran him off the track and there was guilt.
Exactly. Or he caused Javier Bardem to get in an accident and that's why he walked away.
Or when Pitt was recovered from his injuries, Javier Bardem was his replacement.
Yeah.
And Javier was such a good replacement that he lost his seat. And then he's like, well, fuck it. Like.
Yeah. If you had that dynamic, because I was thinking the same thing. I thought if Javier and Brad Pitt were on the same team and Javier caused the accident or he caused an accident or somehow, because they even alluded to this is recompense for what happened in Monaco about all the days back then.
Yeah.
They never really explain what that is. But you know what I mean, right? Then you're kind of getting into Maverick versus Goose. I regret that this is the life that's happened because of it. I have to walk away from F1, but not from racing because of what happened.
That's right. I think that would have been a better start to this. The next issue is that team structure is all sorts of bonkers.
Oh my God. First of all, if this was a real F1 team, and by the way, I'll go on the record to say I hate F1 racing.
Ooh.
I'm not a fan of F1 racing at all, but I appreciate that F1 racing is one of the most technical sports out there.
It's the pinnacle.
In terms of the organizational capabilities.
Yeah.
And by the way, not just the organizational of like getting getting two men on the track at 400 kilometers an hour. I mean, just the logistics of sending those race cars all across the world for whatever number of races it is. It's crazy.
I thought the casting was good. I thought how they portrayed each character was weird. Okay, so Javier Bardem is the owner, right?
Yeah.
Kasper Smolinski, I guess, is the team principal, but not an owner. And he was a former, like, a pit crew member. And I thought that was a very good aside that he's kind of worked his way up from the pit crew member. And I thought they should have put more on that. When we first came into Park Ferme, right, we see his like wife and kids or grandkids kind of like climbing on the car. And someone makes like a comment like, oh, the world's most expensive jungle gym or something, right? I thought he would have been a better team owner and Javier Bardem would have been better kind of like as a team principal. And then you have the dynamic that Javier Bardem brought in Brad Pitt actually to undermine the team so that they would not perform well. And he wanted to kind of buy it from the owner at like a cheaper price or something. I thought the whole premise, which is just nonsense. I know you dislike F1. I like F1, but I wouldn't say I'm a rabid F1 fan. The rabid F1 fans hearing that the premise is if we don't win one race, we will have to sell the team. To be honest, I think is just, I'm surprised they got that into the movie. I think that's just a nonsensical, I think there's a better storyline.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I think that's just something that is meant to be washed away. The point is we need to win once, otherwise we're out.
Yeah, I get it. I just thought that was a very poor hook. That's not realistic. It's not based in finance principles. I don't think it's based in F1 principles.
I think it would have been better if Javier Bardem's contract simply said, we're going to kick you off the team if you don't get us one podium I hired you because you're supposed to be this XF1 racer. And the team is going to continue, but you're not going to be a part of the team, and we'll clean house.
I mean, I agree. That's not bad. I didn't think of that. I was thinking that the guy, Joshua,
Yeah.
should have kind of been like in the lead, like for the championship, like the points lead. And he could have got injured and they were going to bring in like a substitute to continue his seat. And again, Javier didn't want the guy to win because he was trying to undermine the team. He wanted, in this case, Casper, to be forced to sell, and intentionally brought in Brad Pitt because he thought Brad Pitt was washed up, and then Brad Pitt kind of like exceeded expectations. And you find out that Javier Bardem is actually trying to undermine the whole thing and not Brad Pitt's friend. In any case, I think there's a better plot to be had. I thought that just kind of ruined it for me, because then you know where this is going to end. Once they said that, you know what's going to happen at the end. Well, they have to win the race.
Yeah.
Harry Condon, I think she really is Irish, but I thought there was no reason whatsoever that she had to bring out her most Irish accent.
Okay.
Totally distracting. And I thought that her character, I like the idea that they've got a lady technical director. I thought her background kind of made sense. You know, I was an aerospace engineer. I got it. Like, okay, well, you know, my husband left me, although I think that's pretty trite, but fine. I want to prove him wrong, whatever. But I thought that she could have been a much better character. And I thought that there was really no chemistry between her and Brad Pitt. I kind of liked them both together, and I would have liked that to be a better relationship. And I really would have liked them to have ended up together, that they would have both kind of quit the team at the end. They're like, fine, I delivered your championship to you. I don't like the way that you've treated us. We're leaving. And you see those two kind of like racing together on the Baja Dunes or something like that at the end. You know,
Sure.
I would have liked something better than that. The young girl who is
Jody.
Jody.
Yeah.
So again, they just made her a ditz, and either she should have been someone's granddaughter, or there should have been something why this has always been her dream to be on a pit crew. And I just didn't think they needed to make her so hapless. Even if they would have made her the love interest of Joshua or something, I thought that they just didn't need to make her so useless. I thought that was really unnecessary. Didn't like Joshua's mom at all, Bernadette, who went from, oh, he's cute, to then saying, well, you caused my son's injuries. She didn't have any knowledge of that whatsoever. Anyway, I guess that whole accident with Joshua at Monza bothered me. What did you think about that accident?
I saw it coming a mile away.
First of all, it's based on a real life event, and we've seen it in no less than 2 other racing movies.
Right.
We saw it in Driven with Stallone.
Yeah.
And we saw it reenacted in
Rush.
Yes. So this is the 3rd time we've seen that. And if you saw Grand Prix 2 years ago, you basically saw something similar.
Right.
I thought that was unnecessary. By all accounts, it wasn't Brad Pitt's fault at all.
Yeah. Okay. Whose mother is inside the technical paddock?
I agree.
What the fudge, man? I don't care how good or how whatever your contract is. Mom and dad, they're in a suite somewhere. They're not in the pit.
The whole thing was just awful.
Oh my God. What a terrible agent, by the way.
Awful agent. I agree. That could have gone either 2 different ways. It could have been the agent was a good comedic pressure release, and that would have been nice. Or he could have been the guy kind of pushing Joshua throughout to be more Instagrammable, which you kind of got a little bit at the club and stuff.
Yeah.
I just felt like they didn't really go the right way. They didn't really explain, is he a cousin? Is he a brother?
I think it would have been, again, also predictable, but not bad to have him be the bad guy, who's the one who leaks all the documents.
Yes.
And he's doing this in the guise of protecting his client and trying to get Brad Pitt out. But realistically, he screws both of them.
I agree.
Because you're my only client. I'm not going to tell you to get drinks at 1 o'clock in the morning the night before a race.
I know.
What the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Also, that's a good point. He could have been the heel And he could have told the mom, like, oh, this guy's like making your son be aggressive or something. I mean, I still don't like that storyline at all, but I thought the mom
The
flipping
mother
out.
should not have been there at all.
No. And to be honest, Joshua should have said something right away.
Yeah.
Like just out of decency. Like there's not even any doubt that first of all, no one made him make a pass.
Yeah.
He knows that one. Two, he knows that Pitt said, don't do it here, do it over there, to be very untechnical about it. The guy should have straight up like called out his mom and said, Mom, stay out of it. It's not his fault. It's on me. I really don't like the Joshua character. And I love, by the way, if you've watched Snowfall, Damson Idris is fantastic. I have no feelings whatsoever for his forgettable character in this movie.
No.
He could have owned that. And to be honest, there could have been a sequel. I mean, it could have been an F1 series that maybe would have had less car racing and more personal life stuff. Like he could have really owned that character, just like Goose owned Goose and Iceman owned Iceman. He could have really owned that character. And I felt that maybe it's not on him, but that character was just written so up and down.
Horrible.
It was hard to understand. Is he just a kid who worked really hard, lost his dad and is trying to make it? Is he just being manipulated by his agent to be Instagrammable? Is he just a jerk who's ungrateful? Like
he came off as just a jerk. He came off as a total twat in the entire film.
There was a lot of hijinks by Brad Pitt in some of the early races. And a few of the reviews I read online have said, look, the racing is very good, but all this nonsense is going to really infuriate like F1 fans because it would not have been tolerated at all. What was your sense of kind of like watching it? Because was it like too dopey? Was it
100% too dopey? Again, as someone who doesn't watch F1 racing, I respect F1 racing, but I don't like it. So for me to see him kind of do all these antics, it didn't make sense to me. That's something like you could kind of see in a baseball movie where they're doing all sorts of like trick plays and things like that. But to do that in like a very serious sport like Formula One, But again, I'm the wrong person to ask. I didn't harbor any ill will, but I just thought it was a bit silly.
I agree. I feel like it was overdone. It went from beyond like one or two clever things to being like, I thought like a little bit like unnecessarily reckless. And it just didn't really sit right with me. I wouldn't really downgrade the movie because of it, but it just seemed kind of unnecessary. And I wish instead of going through all those endless antics, they would have focused a little bit more on character development.
Yeah.
So I would have really liked the characters more.
Yeah. Can I just say one other thing?
Yeah.
Just now that we're harping on that. Once Pierce is out from that injury, first of all, I find it shocking that he's back in 3 weeks, but fine.
Yeah.
But when the team sees success like they were seeing, would they risk all of that by bringing him back? If I were the team owner, I'd just be like, all right, you're relegated to third bench.
Here's my master plan that I think would never get greenlit because it'd be complicated. I wanted Javier Bardem not to be the owner. I wanted Casper to be the owner. I wanted Javier Bardem to be trying to sabotage the team, to not do well because he wanted to buy it from Casper. And he thought that if the guy didn't win the championship, Joshua, that they wouldn't get sponsors and that, the guy would be forced to kind of sell it. And Javier had his team like lined up. Okay. To do that, I thought that Joshua, the phenom, should have been injured and Brad Pitt would have come in for him and driven his car.
Right.
So that car, I don't think this is actually true. So that's a problem. But then Joshua's car would have continued to accumulate points in like the championship. And then when Joshua came back, Pitt was driving so well that they decided not to put him back in his car, that he was going to take the other dude's car.
Right.
And then at the end, they were going to kind of do something to have Pitt actually win the race, but Joshua win the championship. And here's where it gets super bonkers. Remember when they had that 10-minute delay? I wanted them to switch cars.
Oh.
And then they're behind Lewis Hamilton. And they do something like the guys on the radio to Hamilton, like Sonny Hayes always goes left, defend the inside. And the guys kind of switch. And you think that Joshua won the race.
But it was really Sonny Hayes sitting in Joshua's car.
So everyone's a winner. Pitt wins the race. Sonny wins the championship. Javier Bardem is out of the team. Right? I mean, it's happily ever after for everybody.
If you think Formula One fans were pissed with already what happened in this movie, how do you think they'd feel in that space?
But that's a legitimately surprise ending where everybody is a winner, right? The guys work together. There's a surprise twist because the movie was anticlimactic because as soon as Javier Bardem said in the second scene, we have to win at least one race, I knew if you're an F1 fan, you know the last race every year is in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be Abu Dhabi. It has to be.
Yeah.
So I was just disappointed by the fact that there was not any, it was anticlimactic. And again, okay, they won a race. Congratulations, they won the race. They're still a very, very bad team. And that was just kind of like the end of it. And then Brad Pitt leaves Carrie Condon. They have this great intimate relationship. He discloses all these things about his life. She tells him all these things about her life. And then he's just like, because he had a very, very emotional kind of scene after he won, where he just kind of went to his trailer, head in his hands. And that reminded me of, do you remember Miracle on Ice about the U.S. hockey team?
Yeah.
Remember that they won and the coach just went into like the locker room and just like slid down the wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there was like no music, no sound.
Yeah.
The guy was just like so overcome by like what he did. I really liked that with Brad Pitt, but I would have liked it if they would have fast forwarded it and you just saw those two like driving and working together. She a technical director and he a driver, and they were both doing what they wanted outside of, you know, that awful experience that they had, you know, working in F1. I'd like that. I didn't like that he just kind of, I don't know what kind of sweater vest he put on in Abu Dhabi. Remember, he was in his trailer in his suit. Then she goes looking to find him. He's all showered up, wearing a very strange outfit on some type of balcony that looks like he's
patio that looked at some kind of fancy restaurant or like a hotel lobby.
Tiki torches and stuff. And then he gets in a car and he's off.
Yeah. And next scene, he's in Baja, California. I think we can all admit the story needs a lot of work. I take that back. The story was as predictable as you could get it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for a summer blockbuster. It's also not necessarily a bad thing because this is probably one of those things which is, I mean, it was financed by Apple, but almost assuredly Formula One, the organization, had their fingerprints all over it, which means that at some point you're going to get a lot of writing by committee. You're going to get a lot of, we can't have this because it's going to make our organization look bad.
Yep.
There's a lot of efforts to make Formula One look better than it is or glorify it in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that that's what happens when an organization funds a movie about itself. It's inevitable. So yes, that's a problem, but what did you think of the filming? What did you think of the visual effects? What did you think of the sound effects?
I have to say it was fantastic. I did not see it on an IMAX, which I regret.
Right.
But I think absolutely not just the racing scenes, but kind of how in some cases the camera was a little bit shaky. Like it really made you feel like you were in the car and you really understood, I thought, the stakes of the racing. I thought the sound was great. I thought the soundtracks were great. And so important and often not done, they stopped the sound at the right times.
Yeah.
Like they let the movie breathe. I think visually, way better than Oppenheimer. Probably one of the better visual and auditory movies I've ever seen. I thought it was absolutely well done. I know I've read some online critiques because apparently the footage was taken, in some cases, a passing was taken from real F1 races and
Right.
they CGI'd the car in there.
Okay.
So I've heard some critiques that it didn't look good or realistic or wasn't realistic. I did not pick up on that at all. And I
Not
think
at all.
that I think you wouldn't, given what you've said about F1. I don't think that I would have, although I've watched more F1 than you, but I didn't even notice it whatsoever. So I thought visually it's absolutely Academy worthy. And maybe that's why I'm a little bit harsh on the plot and the characters, because
100%.
I wanted this movie. I can rewatch Top Gun today. I can rewatch Maverick today. I can rewatch Tenet today. I cannot rewatch Oppenheimer today. And I will never again watch F1.
All right.
And that makes me sad, because if that would have been a better story, to be honest, it could have been a classic. And when we get back to what you said at the beginning, do you think we rank this right for our summer blockbuster predictees? I think probably, because I think there's going to be a huge, huge audience that goes see it opening weekend, and I think it's going to fall off a cliff.
Okay.
I don't think anyone's going to see it twice. And I think that everyone who hasn't seen it is going to talk to other people, and everyone's going to be kind of like, yeah, yeah, it's good. If you like F1, it's great. Like, yeah, flat.
Yeah. So I saw it on a 270-degree screen, which is a screen where you're not just watching the movie in front of you, but you're watching it to your left and right side as well.
How did it look?
What they did was they only used the center screen for the entire movie, but they turned on the left and right screens for whenever we were in the car and they were racing.
Huh.
So when you were passing cars, they were physically passing on the right side screen. It looked like you're looking out of your right wing mirror and on your left wing
That's
mirror.
super cool.
That was awesome. So it was spectacular. So I would say, do I want to watch it again? Absolutely not. Unless it was a montage of the driving scenes and only on a 270-degree screen. Because you really felt like you were sitting inside a Formula One car while they were in it.
Yeah.
I loved that camera technique, which was in front of the camera, looking out onto the track, and then rotating onto the driver's face.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was really cool too. I thought they did a really good job with that. I think that in terms of visual language, there's a lot in common with Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
But in terms of story, I think you're absolutely right. I think Top Gun Mavericks is a little bit more timeless. I think this is not. I'm not going to see it again. Not because I think it's bad, but just because I've seen it once. I'm not, again, all the beats were recognizable even before we walked into the movie.
Yeah. I really want to feel something at the end of the movie. I mean, even at the end of Mission Impossible, when
Ving Rhames.
Like, he left that emotional message for Tom Cruise. Like, at the end of Mission Impossible, I felt something, like it was obviously a farewell, but I really felt something at the end of that movie about, like, man, like, these guys have been through a lot. Like, that was a very heartfelt message. It was nice to give him the final word.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything at the end of F1. Like, even when they're celebrating, I just felt like that was a very empty celebration. Like, the guy won an F1 race. Like, it was kind of the culmination of his career. And then he was kind of like, no, I still don't touch the trophy. And then he had like a nice like moment with Javier Bardem. And then he went into I just felt like I just didn't feel anything. And then he just kind of like bugged off and left everybody. It was just, I don't know. I feel like they didn't stick the landing. And if they would have stuck the landing, I probably would have been a little bit less critical of all the other character flaws.
Let me ask you a hypothetical.
Yeah.
What if instead of Brad Pitt, it were Tom Cruise in this movie?
If it were Tom Cruise in this movie, the absence of chemistry in that relationship would have made a lot of sense. Like we would have said, like, oh, that's a typical Tom Cruise sexless, chemistryless relationship, right? I mean, Tom Cruise, I mean, this is not a true statement, but like, apart from the take my breath away scene in Top Gun, which is an all-time classic
Right.
love scene, right? And what he did in Eyes Wide Shut, he hasn't been known for chemistry.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt is kind of the opposite, where he's kind of known, whether it's Mr. or Mrs. Smith, like he's known for kind of having great on-screen chemistry with people. And I thought that Carrie Condon was a very likable character. Ideally, she would have been likable. And I thought that could have been a really nice relationship, you know? And I just feel like they didn't stick that at all. And it was a little bit disappointing to me.
I don't know, man. I just think that there would have been I think I would have bought Tom Cruise more as an F1 driver than Brad Pitt. Also because of the Days of Thunder. Like it would have been a nice callback.
Yeah, that's true. But I think this is also Pitt's character wasn't like at the very beginning. If you look at that first scene, you see him kind of wake up and you don't have the whole context, right? You see him wake up in a van, right? You see him with two different socks on. You see him put his face into like an ice bath of water, right? You see him kind of get ready. He puts the card in his pocket, which they should have played that better, by the way. And he like takes his watch off, looks at the picture of his dad. He gets out there. He's just like, let me race. He gets the lead. He switches the car and he says to the guy, if you lose this lead, I will kill you. I like that attitude from Brad Pitt. And if he would have carried that same attitude throughout the movie, it would have been great. Instead, he's just kind of like, aw, shucks. I'm not mad at you. You're just jealous I'm faster at you. But then sometimes he pushes the guy in the hallway and they try to get like, right. He was just all over the place. You know, like either he's a cowboy who doesn't get aerodynamics. Remember Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder? He's just like, look, just let me drive it. Right. And either Brad Pitt is that guy where he doesn't care about aerodynamics at all. And Carrie Condon kind of like teaches him like, hey, I can make you faster. Let me show you this model. I've got this new combat kit for you. Right. He's either that aw shucks guy who's just like, let me drive, or he's kind of like the technical veteran. But I felt like he just waffled between like, who is he?
Yeah. Yeah. So having said all of that, where do you fall in this movie?
Must see in cinemas because of the sound, because of the visuals. There's no question. I told my brother that's the litmus test. I wanted to tell you, but obviously I think we kept it profesh, that I didn't give you any spoilers because I saw it a day before you. But absolutely, you have to see it on the big screen. Don't wait for it, to see it on an airplane or at home. But keep your expectations in check for the story, because the story to me was really, really disappointing. And I thought they could have adjusted it a little bit and it wouldn't have impacted F1 at all. Do you know, FYI, that Joshua Pierce was supposed to have a girlfriend in this movie and she was entirely cut out?
I did not know that.
Yep. Simone Ashley was supposed to be his love interest, and she was 100% cut out. No mentions, references, anything. So this one through, I mean, you mentioned it. Whenever you've got a lot of big organizations involved and big egos, and like stuff is going to get left on the cutting room floor, I think they say.
Yeah.
But I just felt that there was some really minor adjustments they could have done to kind of recalibrate some of the character arcs that would have been a little bit more faithful to their characters and would have been like less head scratching. Like I really didn't like it that Jodie was just useless. She bumps into Joshua. Her gun jams, right? The guy drives over it. Like you never see her backstory or redeem herself. She's just honestly a hapless blonde on a pit crew. And it's not explained why. She never redeems herself. She never kind of does anything,
Yeah.
And it's this type of repeated stuff that drives me nuts. You know, I don't like Tobias Menzies, Peter Banning, right? The board member.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing is just so off-putting to me that I just didn't like it.
You could have cut him out and combined him with the agent, and he could have been the one.
Yeah. And I thought the agent, that was a lost opportunity to either have that guy be kind of the bad guy in the heel, or that's a career-altering role where he could have been the comedic sidekick, you know? Like the hapless cousin who's like, oh my God, like, why do you use this guy? Look, he's my cousin. He knows, like, he's okay. Like, he could have been the hapless guy who kind of like redeemed himself at the end as well. He offered nothing to that movie at all.
Yeah.
You know? And those are the types of missed opportunities. That's a career-altering role if you nail it. You know, that's the role they're like, oh, now this guy's going to star as the next Black Panther or something like that. You know, if he would have like just nailed that role, either they gave him nothing to work with or he just couldn't like bring it home. Yuck. But I still maintain that just because it was so well shot that you absolutely should see it in a cinema.
I 100% agree. This is our first must subscribe on both of our accounts. I echo your thoughts 100%. This is not a must subscribe because you're going to walk in and say, I have to see this movie 10 more times.
No.
This is a must subscribe because the visual effects are worthy of only being seen on the big screen.
Yeah.
And if you can, IMAX it.
Okay, Pete, before we sign off, social media, YouTube creds, because people have to have a strong feeling about this movie.
There's going to be some strong opinions on this. And of course, the best thing you can do, leave a comment below, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell, and like this video.
Could not have said it better myself. Pete, appreciate you joining. It was kind of, I wouldn't say this was one of our emergency episodes, but definitely it was a with due haste episode.
Absolutely.
Happy that we knocked it out before the big weekend rush comes. So spoilers were given, but I think we also helped to suss out the plot a little bit and give our feelings about what could have been better and what was fantastic. All right. Listeners, thanks for joining. Pete, thanks again. We will see everyone next week, next episode, Films and Stuff Podcast.
Thanks Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.